All right, we are back with another episode of Your Relationship Sucks! Exclamation point with the left hand today.
Whoa.
Yeah, big
Did you
things happening
practice that
here.
before going live with it?
No, I don't have to. I'm pretty natural. I'm
Oh,
pretty
okay.
natural with both hands. I'm I'm a bit ambidextrous. So it's not surprising that I excel with both hands. So, all right. So we got another question today. We're gonna help some people out.
We
Again,
do.
I haven't seen any of these questions. I never see any of these questions. I have no idea what's coming. We're gonna try to help some people out. So let's get into first impressions. Let's see
Yes.
what's happening. Let's see what's happening with
This
these.
first impression isn't necessarily a question, but more of a statement. It's the
Mhm.
title. I've forgotten what it's like to be in love.
Oh, that's sad. My first impression is that's sad. That is it's a sad thing. I think it's probably relatable, but that is a very sad thing. That's my first
Yeah.
impression.
Okay, the whole shebang. I've forgotten what it's like to be in love. I'm a 27-year-old woman who's been single for years. I've tried online dating and met some nice guys, but since my last serious relationship ended, I felt absolutely nothing, not even a twinge of romance. One gentleman in particular was fantastic. However, no matter what we tried, nothing. This dreadful feeling has been made worse with the loss of my grandmother and my cat in the same month, which really sent me into a tailspin. I feel like I have an icy black heart. It seems like such a ridiculous question, but what can I do to make myself feel again?
Yikes. Okay, so, oh God. All right, so she's 27. She hasn't had a relationship in years, or she's been single for years. So her last serious relationship was years before. But it sounds like she's tried dating in the interim, but not with any sort of success. But when she's saying that she tried with this guy, and she said, I didn't even feel a twinge. Now, when she's saying love in that instance, am I supposed to actually be thinking love, or am I supposed to be thinking like she wasn't sexually attracted to it? Because the way she wrote that sounds like she wasn't sexually attracted. I know those go hand in hand, but like it sounds like she just wasn't sexually attracted to it. Like that's what it sounded like. It's like she
Yeah,
wanted to bang
so
somebody and he wasn't into it, or whatever. She wasn't into it, whatever.
yeah, I felt absolutely nothing, not even a twinge. One gentleman in particular was fantastic. However, no matter what we tried, nothing. Yeah, I don't know what that means.
That
Like if
sounds
she's
way
just talking
more.
about,
That's way more sexual than non-sexual. Like that's what that says. Because if he was fantastic, then that has to mean that they had fun hanging out, right? Like just they like.
yeah, I don't know too if what she means by fantastic, which is I don't know if men do this, but I have a lot of friends who have a checklist of things. And so they'll be like, this guy is great. You
Like an
know,
actual
he
checklist, like
has
it's actually wrote it out, or like just a
I don't know if
mental.
they write it out, but it's like
Okay,
a mental one. You know,
got
like
it.
they
Okay.
have these things, like very specific things, like, you know, I want him to have this kind of job and I want him to be into these things, you know, and sometimes the way I hear them talk about people that they think are fantastic are this person has met my criteria in this area, so
Mm-hmm.
he should be exactly what I want. I'm not saying that that's what happened here, but I'm just saying sometimes, like, when I hear someone be like, I'm fantastic, but I wasn't romantically interested in them, then I'm like, are they really that fantastic? Like, you know,
Yeah.
if you have, uh, if you're going to have butterflies or you're going to feel like that really you're taken with someone, that's like happening almost immediately in most cases. You know, like
Yeah.
it can grow. I'm not like I have, you know, there's people who are friends and then something grows. Like, I'm not saying that that's not possible, but
No,
I'm just
look, you
saying,
want to
like, if
bang
you're
somebody,
doing
you don't
like
want to
the
bang
dating
somebody.
apps, like normally, you know.
Yeah, look, you want to have sex, you don't want to have sex. I mean, that's pretty basic stuff. That's just a natural reaction. I mean, there's nothing, there's not really much you could do about that, right? Um,
Yeah.
and so, all right, so that's fine. All right, so okay, so maybe this is somebody that like she thought she should like, but that she didn't actually like, which to me says, well, maybe your fucking criteria is wrong, right? Like maybe your checklist isn't, maybe you got the wrong checklist is kind of what that says to me, right? And that's fine, by the way, like that's fine. That happens to people. Like you think that you're going to want something and then, you kind of get it. And then you're like, well, actually that's not really what I wanted. Like, or it turns out like I wasn't as into that as I thought I would be. And that's a good thing to know. It's good to know what you want and good to know what you don't want, right? Or what's not as
Yeah.
important to you. And so, like that's a positive thing. But this girl who's saying like very specifically, I am sad. Well, I mean, first of all, so she loses her grandma and her cat in the same month. And so that's sort of a culmination of stuff that's sort of happening, right? Like she's felt pretty sad for a while and then boom, all of a sudden she loses some people and now she feels more sad. And then she's like kind of grouping all that shit together, which, is not, I mean, that happens like, to group that stuff in your head, like you're feeling all of that at the same time. So like, that's not surprising to me that you would feel that way. But like, so so the question is, how do you actually feel again, right? Like, how do you actually go and you feel and you do stuff? And honestly, what that feels to me like, right, is she's putting a lot of pressure on what she's actually feeling. As in, like, I should be feeling, and I'm not feeling, and I'm seeing other people feeling, and that's really where my worry is, right? So my very first step would be honest with yourself about, are you going to, again, social media or your friends or whoever it is, and are you comparing yourself to those people? Is that part of what's driving this, right? And the reason I'm saying this, and again, it's not to shit on social media. Like, I have no problem with social media. Like, do your thing. I'm just not interested in it. But I have no problem with people who are on social media or who want to be on social media. Like, good for you. That's fine. There are positives and negatives to everything, right? So there's positives and negatives to being on it and positives and negatives to not being on it. I have no problem if you're on it. But if part of what's driving this is that you're comparing yourself to these other people and you're hearing how good things are and you're seeing how good things are, and then you're saying, well, things aren't that good for me, or I don't feel that way, then my first step would be stop looking at that part, right? Like, stay on social media, fine, but like just look at some cat photos or something. Like, go find other things to look at on social media other than what you're looking at. When it comes to your friends, like, same sort of thing. Don't stop being friends with them, but talk to them about other subjects. Like, ask them about other things that are happening in their life, because they probably have some interesting things to talk about that aren't related to very specifically how happy they are in the relationship that they're at. What's going on at work? What's going on with their family? What kind of interests are they doing? What do they think about the world right now? Like, all those things. It gives you a chance to like figure out more about what's happening with these other people, right? So all that's fine. Like, that would be my first step, because that's the easiest one to fix. Like, that's why it's the first step. Is the easiest one to actually look and be objective with yourself and say, like, is this part of what's driving this? The other problem is she's putting so much pressure on herself, right? She's putting a lot of pressure on herself. She's 27, so maybe there's a biological clock situation happening. But at 27, like, there's probably a lot of people she knows, they're getting married, they're getting engaged, like all that stuff, right? Like, this is kind of an age where a lot of that stuff happens. So again, I'm kind of thinking like, okay, is that happening? Now, the other thing you have to remember is that when you see people doing that on social media, in real life, like whatever, like people who are having weddings, like, go talk to somebody who's fucking planning a wedding. Those people are stressed as fuck. Like, they hate each other sometimes. Like, they genuinely hate each other sometimes. Not all of them, not all the time, yada yada, all that stuff. But like, that stresses a relationship. So it's not all hunky dory that people are out there and they're like, oh, we found a venue, and I'm like, yeah, but what was that conversation like? You know what I mean? Like, how did that actually happen? So you have to understand that, like, not everything is exactly as perfect as you are making it in your head, right? I'm not even saying other people are presenting it that way. Obviously, that happens sometimes. But even if they're not presenting it that way, you might internalize it in a different way. You're like, well, damn, like, I'm not even there, right? Like, I don't even have all this stuff. You're putting a lot of pressure on yourself. So what you need to do, right? If you're this person, what you need to do, like, if you were genuinely going to go try and find somebody, and that's your goal, right? I'm not going to tell you like, oh, work on yourself or whatever. Like, I'm not going to say that. Obviously, this is somebody who wants a relationship, okay? Now, should you work on yourself? Yeah, you probably should. Like, it sounds like you're pretty sad about some stuff. So honestly, I think you should take some time to really look at yourself and say, what is it that I think I'm missing in my life? Whatever it is, I don't care what it is. Like, it could be anything. It could be another person. It could be some goals. It could be something that you haven't achieved. It could be anything. I don't know what that is. I can't speak for her. But that part of it, like having this sadness, is probably driving some of it. But the other thing that's driving some of it is she's going into these things and she's looking very specifically for like love, right? And the problem is when you look for love, like when you have in your head, like, I need to find love, that starts to get fucking twisted in your head about all kinds of different things that love means, right? Because love means different things to different people. It manifests itself in different ways. And people visualize it differently. What they think they will experience when they have it is different for all these people. And so part of the problem is that she's like, I don't have my idyllic version of what I think love is going to be. So what I would say is, when you find somebody, don't find them on the checklist. It's not the checklist. That's a great point. But don't walk down that checklist and say this person is fantastic.
Yeah.
Start talking to people. Whether you're dating them, whether you're talking online, whether you're doing whatever, doesn't matter. All I want you to do is focus on having 30 minutes of just fun with another person. Whatever that means. It could be anything. Like, it literally could be like playing in a ball pit. Or it could mean having like a deep conversation. Doesn't matter. It could be anything. Whatever you think is fun, and whatever it is that you think is fun. So look at yourself and say, what do I actually enjoy? Like, what is it that I actually enjoy?
Yeah.
And do that with somebody else for 30 minutes. Go find a guy. Do it with him for 30 minutes. If he can keep up with you, if you have fun doing it with him, that's the first step on trying to get any of that stuff. Because at the end of the day, all you want is somebody who you're going to have fun doing things with. That's what you want for the rest of your life. That's what you want. And so find somebody. Don't worry about the checklist, not all that stuff. There's one thing on the checklist. Whatever it is you think is fun, whether it's a specific activity or a specific type of thing that you like to do, whatever it is, like, you know, you want to cook with somebody, right? So think about this. Boom. Hey, let's cook with somebody. You're like, hey, you know what? Like, I don't really want to go out with you, or I don't really want to like go to your house or something like that. Say, hey, do you want to have a video date? And we can cook together. We can cook the same meal, and we can kind of talk, and we can do that stuff, whatever. Great. Now you found somebody who likes to cook, who likes to talk with you while you cook, right? A lot of people like that. That could be something that you do, right? And you can do that for half an hour, whatever. And it doesn't have to be dinner, right? Boom. Hey, you want to make a quick lunch together? You want to make a sandwich together? Like, hey, you know what? That's what I'm telling you is that's a real thing. That's a real fucking thing. Like, to sit there and to make something with somebody else and to have a conversation and to be doing something and having fun at the same time. That's all anybody wants. Fuck all the rest of it. That's what everybody wants. And so if this lady can find that, and she just a little piece of it, now she's going to start to get out of her head, right? She's going to start to move from outside her fucking head, where she's so far into her head because she has this idea of what everybody else has and what she doesn't have. And if you can find somebody that you can have fun with for 30 minutes, now you can try again. Now you can try with that same person, and you can either say, let's do that same thing again.
Yeah.
Or you can say, let's try something else. And even if you try something else, you're like, actually, it wasn't that fun, but I still like doing it with them. Okay, let's try something different, or let's go back to the original thing, or whatever. Or you don't have fun with that person. You say, hey, you know what? I appreciate this. Like, I really appreciate you like trying to do this. I don't think we're going to work out. That's totally fine. I'm going to go find somebody else to do the same thing, right? But doing those sort of things, it's little step by step, right? Like, you can't get love. You can't get all the way to what you want until you have 30 minutes of just actually having fun with somebody. So start with 30 minutes. Start with 30 minutes of actually having fun with somebody. And honestly, that's going to get you a lot farther than anything else anybody is going to tell you. I'm telling you right now, that's going to get you a lot farther. Just do that. Just find something that you like. Find somebody else that likes that for 30 fucking minutes and get out. And that's it. And that's all you have to do. And I'm telling you, and then from there, you're going to figure out. You're going to find, like, okay, you can keep doing this stuff, but stop looking at a checklist. Stop looking at, I should like these things, whatever. Find something you actually like, and then find somebody you can do that with for 30 minutes, and that's it. I'm telling you, that's going to be way more helpful.
Yeah. I like that you addressed that. She seems sad overall.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You need to have fun. She needs to have fun for 30 minutes, right? Like, she needs to laugh for 30 minutes.
She just seems sad. Part of it, understandably, for two reasons. And then the other part, it seems like because she is going into it with, every relationship could be love. So, like, let's open with that. It leads to more immediate disappointment, right?
100%.
Like,
anxiety.
It's a
stress.
terrible way of looking at things, right? Like, you are more likely to fail if you're looking at this like, oh, this is love, instead of, oh, this is a fun date, we're gonna have fun for 30 minutes, this could be something. Because immediately when one little thing doesn't align to your checklist or what you think love is, then you're out.
Yep, 100%.
Whereas
100%, totally.
I think where good relationships, where people from the outside and the inside, where people look at them like they have a really solid relationship. It's not that they love every single thing about that person.
No,
They
no.
could even really dislike a thing
Hmm.
about them, but they had a good foundation where if they go to the grocery store, that's fun for them to be together,
Yep.
because you've stripped away any idea of what an ideal relationship is, and it's just someone who you're picking out items with and
Yep.
you're joking around with and you're doing mundane things with. That would be the true test. And for her, it's just great advice. Focus on something you enjoy first, because that needs to be resparked. And it doesn't have to be as complicated as doing something. Like if you're someone who does enjoy like having a good conversation,
Great.
um,
Awesome. Awesome.
just focus on that
Awesome. Do it.
for 30
100%.
minutes. You don't physically have to be doing something. If that's like the thing that is most important to you, uh, make sure that person can do that. And if that person can't, then move on. But don't have any expectations from that. Just make sure, like, oh, this is a great conversation. After 30 minutes, end it. Don't try and get it to linger to the point where like it
Yep.
dies.
Yep.
Just do it, end it, and then try it again or move on.
Yep. 100%.
Don't think, oh, this was a failed love connection, because
No.
that's ridiculous.
Right. Right. It's not about love. It's about you doing something that you enjoy for some small amount of time, and seeing if that's repeatable and all that stuff. Because that's all great love is, right? Like anybody who has great relationships and all that stuff. Like when they get old, it's mostly about them just doing dumb shit together for
Yeah.
extended periods of time. That's it. Like ultimately, that's what you get to. You get the kids, you do all the stuff and whatever, and like all the stuff. But when you get old, you see those old people who really love each other and they have the thing. Like everybody looks and they're like, oh man, this is it. Whatever. And all those things. Ultimately, like most of the time, those
Yeah.
people just sort of like shuffle around together and like talk. You know what I mean? I mean, they talk slow because they're like old and they don't have like mental capacity, but whatever. It's a slower conversation and they're walking real slow, but like that's what they do. You know what I mean? Because they can't, because there's nothing else to do. And if ultimately that's what you want, like you got to be able to talk to somebody, you got to be able to enjoy the other person's company. Start small, man. Start small. You're 100% right. Start small on this and figure out what it is you want to do, and then build from there. But you're right. Let's start with a building block, and it's not failed just because it didn't work out. It just means that's not the person you want to do that with. Great. That's good to know. Great. We mark that person off. That person's off the list. We have more people on the list. Let's go find somebody else. Right. That's it. That's all it is. So. No, that was great advice from you. I think those are really good points to bring up there at the end. So I think we did it. I think we helped this lady. Hopefully
sure
she sees
did.
this. Hopefully she sees this and she actually gets some real, genuine step-by-step directions on how to fix her shitty relationships. That's what we do here. We're just trying to help people, just trying to make people's lives better.
We are.
With all the advice that I don't actually follow, but that that I know is right. That's the kind of thing I'm trying to do here. That we're trying
Life's
to help
greatest
out
change makers, I would say. We have impacted the world
I would
in the best way
say.
possible.
I mean, I would say, like fundamentally, I wouldn't say I'm like yet on the Mount Rushmore of social change, but I would certainly say I'm on the short list for the next version of it. You know what I mean? Like I'm definitely like getting up there. So that's not surprising to me.
Okay.
But all right, so we did it. If anybody else has any other questions or whatever, they just got feedback for us, all that stuff, they can email us at what's the email?
The email is info.yourrelationshipsucks@gmail.com.
All right, so that's a Google sponsorship for us. So
Yes.
very very excited about that. Otherwise, we appreciate everybody watching, and we will be back next time to fix somebody else's life in just the best way possible.